folks. This webinar today is based on Exchange Backup, Disaster Recovery, and also GRE. What I have here, folks, are two virtual machines. One of them is called SCDR. It is my DR server. The other one is called SCDC. It's a domain controller and exchange server. I just quickly cleaned out the logs so that it's easier to find some information later on. Alright, I think the first thing perhaps we should talk about is VSS. Okay, just so we're all very, very well aware of what's going on here. I'm talking about the StorageCraft Volume Snapshot software provider. It is a service. This particular service talks to VSS. Now, VSS is a very smart but simple-minded service. Okay, it does nothing but allow me to get to the sector level in an extremely smart way. We are backing up just sectors after all. So this provider talks to VSS when we're going to do a backup, and then VSS will talk to these little things. Writers, which are sub-applications that are installed when Exchange or Active Directory is installed. Okay, so I intend to show you a couple today, in particular the Microsoft Exchange Writer. So, process, folks. Provider talks to VSS, VSS talks to the writers and says, Mr. Exchange Writer, do what you need to do. The Exchange Writer then flushes the Exchange databases to disk, doing a few jobs in the background, but flushes it to disk, then says to the VSS, we're ready, we're done now. VSS tells our provider, we're ready. Our provider will then do a snapshot. Once we've taken that snapshot, we've got the list of sectors to back up, our provider will then say to VSS, all right, we've done the snapshot, release, do whatever you need to do. And it will go to the writer and say, right, Mr. Exchange Writer, would you please flush, do whatever it is you need to do, and unfreeze the Exchange system. And it just comes back to VSS and says, yeah, I've done that. When we're finished the backup, what our provider will do is say to VSS, if there is any tidy up work to be done, you can now do it. We have finished the backup. It will then go to the Exchange Writer and say, hey, if there's anything left to be done, please do it, and it will do its appropriate job. Okay? So, now, the next thing that's obviously important here is the way my server was built. Okay? 3 volumes, 3 separate disks. Okay? On the C drive is where I installed my Exchange server. I am running Exchange 2010, okay, and if you look in here, mailbox data, there's nothing there, it's all done. Well, after I built the Exchange server, I obviously shifted some bits and pieces, and the 3 things that you need to take into account for restore purposes, for backup it doesn't really matter, but for restore, there's the database, there's the series of log files, and this in earlier versions used to be called either the system path location or system files path. This file here in particular is critical to a restore of an Exchange server. With Exchange 2010, this particular one, okay, when you move a database path, we all know how to do all of this. The interesting thing is with the log file, when you shift the log files, it will automatically shift that file for you. In earlier versions it didn't, you had to shift it separately. Why is that file so critical? Basically when the information store starts, it asks Active Directory, where is my database? And it says, oh, it's here, and it goes, cool. It then opens the header of that database and gets a piece of information out of it. It then goes to the checkpoint file and says, what log file do you think we're up to? And it might, for argument's sake, say 46B. The information store gets that little header information that it received earlier, looks at it and says, I agree with you, plays in the rest of the logs, mounts the database, publish mailboxes, successful start. if that file was on another drive somewhere that was not backed up in the same job, for example, what would happen on a restore? The information store service obviously again says to Active Directory, where's my database? It says, oh, it's down here, beauty. It pulls that header information out. It then goes to the checkpoint file and says, what log file do you think we're up to? And for the sake of the discussion, it might say 46A, which is the log file before this one. And Exchange looks at that and looks at the header information that it pulled out and says, I thought we were up to 46B. I must be corrupt, and for good measure it will corrupt itself. And basically the corruption is in the header of this particular file. It puts in log file mismatch and will not mount the database at all. You've got to go then through that whole ESE utils thing. Forewarned is forearmed, folks. You can delete that checkpoint file at any time, restart the information store service. It will basically look at the header inside the EDB and say, right, I'm up to that log file there. It will play the rest of these logs in, mount the database, publish the mailboxes, and recreate the checkpoint file. So just keep that in the back of your mind, folks. Alright, what we're now going to do here is we're going to back this up. Okay, so we'll open up StorageCraft over here, ShadowProtect. We will double click on the domain controller. We will go to disk map. You can see the 3 disks in the machine, backup jobs. This D drive one is the one I want, so I'm just going to go right click, execute full. This is just a continuous incremental backup job that backs up the Exchange partition every 30 minutes. Okay? Done. Okay? While I leave that alone for a second, I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to open up the event viewer, folks, just so you can see what's actually going on here. Okay, you can see that's where the base backup, and if I go back, I do apologise, back to this machine, open up SCDC, there's the D drive backup, so it is number 8. I'll click on here and we will move down the line a little bit, and I would say starting there. Okay, at this point, folks, I'm going to ask you to look at the sources and the task categories. VSS Writer has prepared for backup successfully. Okay, in this particular instance, folks, I've also got Active Directory stored on the same disk. So there's NTDS and sysfile. Alright, so this particular one here is talking about Active Directory. Okay, local security subsystem on a domain controller is obviously Active Directory, so that's what it's talking about. Information store, full shadow copy. Then we got the information store itself. Prepared the database, this database, correctly. It then says we're preparing the public folder one called company data. Okay, prepared for snapshot. Up to here, DFSR, Active Directory replication, single DC, still have it. Okay, stop the instance. What's all this doing? Flushing things to disk. Okay, local security subsystem, freeze 2 has started. Then we go up here, freeze has started. Okay, Exchange VSS Writer has frozen the database or databases successfully. We move on. Local security subsystem freeze has ended. Okay, so local security subsystem again. Copy completed. Freeze has ended. Thawed the databases successfully. Process the post snapshot event successfully. DFSR, starting up a whole brand new instance. There's the successful backup. Why do I know it's successful? Because I can see all the bits and pieces in front of it. And if I look here, okay, it actually says deleting log file 46B to 46B. Traditional Exchange truncation of log files. Not by us, but by the VSS process. Okay, you can have a look at this one. Completed the backup. Okay, this is all recording information. That's the public folder one, deleting its files as well. Okay, so you can see that it's been quite a successful backup. Now, to restore that, quite simple, folks. If something got damaged, the disk subsystem was damaged, okay, in this particular instance, because Active Directory is also on the same drive, I would probably have to boot down into Active Directory Restore mode to be able to do a restore, because AD is not there. But yeah, look, just restore the disk, make sure you do a check disk, whatever else, and it's easy. If something corrupts the Exchange data, quite a simple case, folks, of doing what? Stop the information store service, delete the bits and pieces that are in here, take the last backup, mount it up, copy all the files back in. Okay, dealing of course with the checkpoint. If it's in the same file, same folder as it already is, then that's fine. Okay, so the backups are quite, simple to do, very effective to do, and work extremely well. Now, I'm going to do a couple of things here, folks. I'm just going to kick off another incremental. It's just a manual one. It won't take, a couple of seconds to do, folks. It'll take longer to do the snapshot than it will to do the. Okay, 9 seconds to do that, and the whole thing's finished. Done. Okay. We'll just minimize ShadowProtect now. Something that I thought we would talk about is GRE. So on this particular server here, I am logged on with this particular account. This account, if I go over here to Active Directory, just to prove some points here, that if I go to the users folder, okay, and I go to the domain admins folder, and I go members, Jack A is not a member of the domain admins. Okay, he is, however, a member of, if I can remember it again, organization management, yes, and recipient management he should be a member of. That's all that's required to do any GRE restores. If I'm actually doing migration, folks, you would also add him into this account operator's local built-in particular group, and there he is. Okay, so he's nothing special as far as Active Directory is concerned, far from it. He's just a normal user. However, he is an administrator on this machine. So the first thing I thought I'd show you, folks, I'll just open up Outlook to make it easier for you to see the changes quickly. I'm just going to go down to this backup, and we're going to try a GRE Restore. And we're just going to go next. It'll automatically mount up the bits and pieces in front of it. That's cool. G drive letter, yes. Allow writes to it. I need to make it writable. It's just going to write into a sparse file, folks. So let's not stress overly about that. Okay, I'll minimize that particular, yes, we'll do that. This particular folder here I can now close. You'll notice the sparse file only valid while that mount's running at the moment. Okay, we'll now open up GRE, and GRE I want you to go and have a look at. Now this is actually a good spot here to start with, because this is the installation directory under Program Files x86 Storagecraft GRE. You'll notice a bunch of other little folders here. There are 3 files that need to be copied from the appropriate Exchange server. So later on I'm going to use, won't let me show you, but there's 3 files in here, folks, that I can show you later that in Exchange 2007 and 2010 I've added these files in, and I will show you those afterwards. But I'm just going to point down here to the G drive, into there, and there's the mailbox database I want to open. Associated log file path, if that's what you want. Yeah, if you want to play the logs in, do it. Select folder. Okay, I always tick this box and we'll just go open. Okay, I will go here, tools, and I'll go to settings. Where it says temporary database settings, okay, make sure that that has enough space for you to be able to do any repairs if you need to do any ESE util repairs. Okay, so if you look up here, there I am. I've backed up those three mailboxes. I'm going to open up a source here now. Now, because of the account that I'm using, not a domain administrator over here, I've got a valid Outlook connection. Just tick this box, guys. A valid Outlook connection across to that server. I'm going to connect to all mailboxes. If there was a CAS server, I would connect to it as well. In 2013, I'd connect to the public folders as well, because in 2013 a public folder is nothing more than a user mailbox. That's what they've changed them to. So that's cool. So let's just go open. And it's just checking that I've got the appropriate accesses to get across to all of that. And now it's a simple case of, you know, this idiot's lost something. Search for it. Search in the source. Okay. Pick this. The more you can put in here, folks, the quicker the search is going to be. When you find the appropriate item, obviously, okay, you know, that might be the message, or this one. Okay, right click, copy, and then you can come down here, and I normally would always create under the inbox a new folder. Create folder, and I would always call it, and then I can just click on that thing and I can just go paste. Always confirm, yes please, and just do it. Okay, so if I actually open up Outlook here, I can go to restored, and there's that file. Okay, alright, so you can see the way it works. One of the other very interesting features of this particular GRE version is its ability to do migrations. So what I'm going to do here is close the EDB. Alright, I'm going to open up another EDB. So what I'll do here, folks, is we'll go to this G drive one, which we've already done, and I'm going to go quick dismount. Now if I go to the downloads here, this is a 2007 Exchange server backup, and again I'm just going to go mount. Can't do quick mount because I need to make it writable. We need to go back and clean up all those things, obviously. Allow rights, yes, we'll do that, and we'll go finished. This is an older 2007 database. Okay, it was this server before I upgraded it to 2003. You can see 2010. So you can see the sparse file that's created here. Okay, this time I'm going to open up the source, and that's no good to me, even though it is the G drive fact. Mailbox database. Perfect. Open up your log files. Okay, point it to say if you do not want to roll the logs in, you don't have to. And we just go select. Yes. 2003, obviously you'd stick the STM file in there as well. Tick the box. I always tick the box, then just go open. Okay. Now this particular one has 14 mailboxes in it. Okay. And you can do things, you know, like one at a time, or you can do them mass, whichever way you want to do it. This might be the old domain structure from a newly acquired company, and these people need to have their mail in the new domain that they're actually joining. Okay, so a company's bought another company, they're amalgamating Exchange servers, and why not? You know, you can do things like this, folks. We'll take Michelle Temple. Yes, I can take her and I can just drag that down to there, and it says always confirm. And see here now it pops up because I've got the rights over here. The display name. What organisation do you want to use? Users. I might use STC APAC. Okay. Give it the appropriate password, and you know, just the generic password would be fine because it has to be changed at first logon. Okay, and you can just go begin. All right, the account was created, and it's everything. Now the beauty of this one, folks, purely and simply is, if you look in this calendar items, contacts, journals, notes, sent tasks, so what's down in here? Okay, exactly the same. It brings everything across. Okay, now obviously, you know, that was one at a time. You might not want to do it one at a time. You can actually also do this. Take the top one, left mouse click, drag it down here and go dump, and it'll do exactly the same thing. But note, because these 4 accounts already exist up in this one, it won't merge the contents of those 4 accounts into these ones. It will just fail those 4. You then need to deal with, if there's anything up here that really belongs down here, you need to deal with that as well. Okay, so I'm not going to sort of do that at the moment, folks, but you get the basics of what I'm trying to achieve. And of course, pardon me, of course, once you've done whatever it is you want to do, you know, how about we do this one? Okay, this has happened before in the past. Somebody's left the organisation, and the exchange administrators have been a little bit, you know, quick on it. 2 months later, somebody comes along and says, "You remember that person who used to work for us called John Smith? Well, we need access to his mailbox." So instead of having to recreate the whole, you know, Active Directory thing, you say, "Yeah, fine, whatever." I can actually go right-click on John Smith, and I can bring it down here, and I can go to here, and I can just simply go paste, and his entire mailbox and everything else associated with it will be dumped under this folder. Okay, it'll just push it all in there, folks. Okay, so I'll just do a quick post. Okay, you can see up here the little job it's doing. Alright, if I go across over to my own inbox at the moment and I go to Restore, there's the mailbox for John Smith and everything that was ever in his mailbox. Okay, all brought across, all, you know, updated and dealt with and in the correct way and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so it is a very, very powerful tool. We have had some people come with some issues about versions of 2010 and 2013. Now, the only thing I'm ever going to say about any of that, because I've tested all the different variations you can get, the only thing I will say is, and I did start talking about it, is program files, StorageCraft, GRE. You'll notice these 4 folders. Make sure that last one I did, which was a 2007 database, would not have worked without those 3 files. They are from a 2007 Exchange server. These 2010 ones, they are from the current SP, whatever it is this Exchange server is, copied over to here. 2013, every time you update the 2013 Exchange server, copy the latest files into this directory. Part of the install reminds you to do this. If they're not there, it will just fail if there's an issue. Okay? Apart from that, folks, that's about as complicated as it gets. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.